Hey, this is Ms. Nickel, and welcome to our Ionic compound curvy arrow example video. Okay, so I'm going to actually work the examples for you. There is a slideshow for this too if you just want to look at it yourself and figure it out. But some people do better with video. And I will tell you, I did this once already and it did not record my voice. So I know the frustrations of technology, believe me. Okay, so we're moving on to, well, I'll just go through the first couple slides here. So in the example and also in the assignment, you have an electron dot reference table. So electron dot diagrams show valence electrons, and the number of dots is going to be equal to the tall group column number, which are your what we call the main group elements. Okay, so on those columns 1, 2, and 3 are metals. They're going to be the losers. Metals lose electrons. So let me just draw that in for you here. That's been in a lot of our assignments so far, but it's just really, really important. So these 3 columns here, metals, and they're going to lose electrons. Okay, the shell underneath becomes the valence electron shell at that point, and it has an octet. All right, and then our nonmetals are going to be groups 5, 6, and 7. Also group 8 and 4 are nonmetals, but they don't do anything to form ions. So we're not really going, I'm just going to leave group 4 out completely. They form covalent compounds, and we'll be talking about that more at another time. These guys here are nonmetals, and they will gain electrons to form an octet, except the noble gases don't need to. Okay, so we're going to show that, though, that ionic compound formation using some diagrams, because diagrams help us learn. Okay, so moving on to our first example then. This is going to be just like activity 3 in your slide assignment. So you'll be doing it the same way. I've just got different elements here. So first thing you want to do is label your metal versus nonmetal in the compound. And I do this by highlighting. So this is going to be metal is in green, and my nonmetal is going to be in purple because I like purple. Okay, there we go. Go away. It does that to me all the time. Okay, highlighter. Okay, and then we have to go back and do green again. Okay, all right, so now we're going to move on to expanding the formula. That's always the next step. That just means redrawing the element symbols in the ratio that they're given in the formula. However, I forgot to write in the ratio because we don't have any subscripts. That means there's one of each, and so our ratio is a 1-to-1 ratio here. So we're really not expanding too much. We're just going to be drawing the electron dot diagrams because there's just one of each of these elements in the formula. Okay, so rubidium is in tall group column 1. It's going to have 1 valence electron, and fluorine is in our tall group column 7, so it's going to have 7 valence electrons. I'm going to draw those here, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I'm going to draw an arrow showing that transfer of electron, and I'm going to put it right here. Okay, cross out the electron from rubidium. It gave it away because metals are losers. That's what they do. All right, so we are actually moving an electron and a charge here. We're moving a negative charge from rubidium. Since we've taken away a negative, it now has an excess of positive charge, and that's by 1. So it'll be 1 plus or just plus for rubidium. Okay, and because fluorine picked up 1 negative charge, we're going to draw a negative on that. When it's 1, we don't show the number. Otherwise, you always write a number next to the charge. Okay, so that is everything you need to do for that first example. I'm going to include that in your slides and move on to the next example. This is the basic one, so I'm just going to have these 2 examples in it. And then in my next video, I'll talk about what to do when the subscripts are not 1. Okay, so calcium sulfide. First thing we need to do, what are our subscripts here? Well, actually, I'm supposed to label metal and nonmetal. I don't always stick to my step orders, but I get it all done. All right, so I'm highlighting my metal, and I'm going to go back in there and highlight my nonmetal Purple always gives me a little bit of trouble. I probably shouldn't choose it. There we go. Okay, and now I'm going to draw in my arrows for expanding the formula. Make sure I'm back on pen to do that. And so it's just going to look like that. We've got one of each again, so not much to expand. That's going to be different in the next video. All right, so calcium is tall group column number 2. And sulfur is in tall group column number 6. Okay, so it's going to have 6 valence electrons. So when I draw that electron dot diagram, one way to do that is I fill in the 4 first and then I start pairing. Helps me keep track of who's paired and who's not. Okay, all right, now I'm going to move over those electrons. I'm going to move 1 electron to here and 1 electron to here. So everybody wants a pair. Sulfur gets an octet by gaining. Calcium loses the outer shell and has an octet because the shell underneath that is full. All right, I'm going to cross out those electrons. I'm going to show that I was moving those electrons over. So I lost 2 negative charges from calcium. That means calcium will have an excess of 2 positive charges. And then sulfur, oh, I forgot to draw those electrons on sulfur. Here they are. And that's going to pick up those 2 negative charges, has a charge of 2 minus. And that's our second compound where we have element transferring 2 electrons to another element, a nonmetal that needs 2 electrons to form an octet. That's the end of our basic video for the curvy arrow examples. The next video will have examples where subscripts are not 1.